the city of San Francisco set up a task force to examine the issue of reparations. The task force came back and said they calculated that the city of San Francisco should provide payments of about $5 million to African Americans who live in San Francisco. They laid out a criteria as to who should qualify for that. Well, the San Francisco NAACP then put out a statement where they said they actually rejected this particular committee's recommendation, arguing that the money should be dispersed by investments and opportunities to the Black community, but not direct cash payments. And the San Francisco Board of Supervisors embraced the 111 recommendations from the city-appointed Reparations Committee, including lump sum payments of $5 million to every eligible Black citizen, guaranteed income of $97,000 per year for 250 years, eliminating personal debt and tax burdens in homes for just $1. The San Francisco Reparations Committee's final report is due on July 1st. Joining us now is the president of the NAACP chapter there, also a member of the San Francisco Reparations Task Force, Reverend Dr. Amos Brown. Doc, glad to have you on the show. So first,
Thank you for the opportunity.
First, Pastor Brown, you have been a longtime supporter of reparations, correct?
Yes, I have. And also I'm vice chair of the state reparations task force.
So you're a member of the San Francisco Task Force Committee and the vice chair of the state committee that's been examining this as well. A lot of people have been blasting you and the chapter for this particular statement, saying, how dare you oppose the money going direct as opposed to the 5 areas that y'all outlined. Why has the chapter taken the position to oppose the committee's recommendation of direct payments as opposed to the 5 areas y'all laid out?
Let me give you some clarification and do some truthful branch cash payments.
Okay, first of all, Pastor Brown, hold on. You broke up there, so start your comment over again. Go ahead.
Let me be a truth teller. Is not against cash payments at all. But we're against being put in a trick bag and set up for failure. And those members of the Board of Supervisors gave lip service to the concept, the idea of reparations. But beginning with the chair, he's the one who said no cash. And the chairperson of the Finance Committee, an Asian lady, Ms. Chan, said, we have a deficit in the city. And we cannot afford it. The point, brother, I'm making is that we must not let our adversaries, whoever they may be, set us up for another study, another to be put on a shelf and to collect dust. We must have action and action now. We believe in cash plus. It's not either or.
So when you say the setup,
It's 2 wings for a bird.
So when you say there's a setup going on here, are you saying that what has happened is you've had a lot of people, a lot of commenting from people on this very issue, and so there are people who have been opposing direct payments. They've been attacking them. They've said, oh, this is going to bankrupt individuals in San Francisco, right. Things like. So you believe that if that is how it's set up, it's guaranteed never to pass. Is that what you're saying?
They did not on Tuesday night vote at all. This thing has been delayed until October. And I feel that we should not be delaying doing the right thing. Dr. King said the time is always right to do right. They could have easily said, we support cash payments too, and even if we are facing a deficit, we can establish a payout plan. But they did not. And the mistake of the chairperson, he meant well, but he said to National Public Radio that there was no math formula for this $5 million. It was just something that was taken out of thin air, that was put into the document. And that was unfortunate, for then the general public began to focus on the 5 million with no plan. And even if we had a problem with the deficit, somebody should have said, we can get from the private sector monies to establish a reparation fund. We have billionaires in San Francisco per capita than any major city in the United States, according to a recent study. So I just feel, and my constituent base feels, we must be deliberative, and we must move to bring about redress and restoration.
So
Black people in the city and the
all right, so Dr. Brown, so here's the deal. Guys, go to my iPad. This is the press release that was sent out, and this is where I think there's confusion. The press release says the San Francisco NAACP today called upon the Board of Supervisors to reject a one-time $5 million reparations payment to blacks, but instead call upon the city to make investments in 5 key areas to atone for a history of racism, discrimination, and mistreatment. Now, you said, and it lays out in here what those 5 are, and that is invest in education, economic empowerment, housing, healthcare, and Fillmore Heritage Center. Now, you said that you believe in payments and this. So again,
yes.
Okay. So, but the statement doesn't address payments. And so people assumed
that was a misprint. Let me admit it. That was a misprint. That line was left out of there. That was a misprint. But the basic position, what I'm saying, Brother Roland, is we definitely support payment. But you got to have a plan.
So Pastor Brown, I just want to be clear. Go back to my iPad. The statement that was released, the headline says San Francisco NAACP rejects $5 million reparations payment to blacks. And then it says it in the so you're saying that this statement that was released publicly, this statement is wrong.
That's right.
So the San Francisco NAACP supports direct payments plus investments to the black community.
That's right. And in the 100 plus recommendations, some of the same things are listed. What we introduced in 2019. You see, I introduced the idea of reparations to this community. On the 30th of July, 2019, our national convention in Detroit, Michigan. So let there be no mistake about it. We support cash plus.
And so the state, so you support the 5 million, but you also to individual African Americans, but you also want further investment in black institutions.
Even the 5 million is not enough for the hell, the horror, and the hardship of our people. You can't put a dollar sign on the oppression, enslavement, and downright insult and assault to our humanity. So that was a mistake that was made there regarding our position. And I'm setting the record straight now that we cash payment plus subsidy programs. That's what we must have to turn things around for African Americans in this city. The median income for blacks in this town is $30,000 a year, but for whites, $110,000. Latinos and Asians, it's between $75,000 and $80,000 a year. We're at the worst level when it comes to education and achievement in the school district. we still have the challenge of not being able to get jobs and our fair share of contracts from the public and private sectors, even with all the infrastructure work that's now going on in this city. You don't see blacks handling this heavy equipment. They used to have us holding up signs to direct the traffic, but now you don't even see those jobs. We must understand that we got to approach things holistically, strategically, wisely, and not be cheapened when it comes to this issue of reparations.
All right. So the next question. Do you believe that the San Francisco City Council is going to support $5 million cash payment?
From what they said on Tuesday night, and I sat there until 9:30, almost 10 o'clock, down to the nose, gave these eloquent, flowery statements about our pain and what we deserve. But they said, we're not sure about cash payments. And in addition to that, one of the members, to be exact, Mr. Dorsey, the newest member on that board, this up for a vote before the citizens. So that kind of conversation, watch out.
So when is this?
They be tricked.
So when is this vote supposed to take place?
It is really, they put it off, Brother Roland, until October.
Okay.
And even the budget of the city will be adopted at the end of this June. So the money has got to come from somewhere. And this is the reason why there should be right now. So our people will not be misled. They will not be set up assuming that a check is going to be cut for them and cause us to be frustrated, angry, and sad again with disappointment. That's what our basic concern is. And it was unfortunate that this matter went out about the $5 million. The chair said there was no mathematically, and also to say that this is just a figure that was thrown out there.
Okay. All right.
That's what makes it.
All right, Reverend Dr. Brown, we appreciate you joining us. I wish we had a better connection.
Thank you.
It was difficult, but we got the gist of what you said. We appreciate it. Thanks a lot. Michael, I'm gonna start with you. First of all, this is going exactly like we've always said it was going to go. That the moment you begin to put numbers out there, you're going to then face resistance. This also was a big screw up by the San Francisco NAACP. So you put a statement goes out saying they oppose direct payments. It's in the headline. Everybody runs with it. They're blasting the NAACP. Now Reverend Brown has to come out and say, no, that was a mistake. And so the chapter needs to be reissuing a statement or something along those lines because this is what people believe.
Yeah. So first of all, Roland, we talked about the San Francisco Reparations Task Force yesterday on Faraja Muhammad's show, The Culture, right here on your network, the Black Star Media Network. And I've been following what's going on with California and San Francisco reparations. There were over 100 recommendations that were given at this meeting that just took place on Tuesday. What's happened, and there's been a lot of reparations activists, as well as Dr. William Darity, who've been critical of this $5 million number because it's taken, first of all, it's unrealistic. It's totally unrealistic. San Francisco is dealing with a $728 million budget deficit over the next 2 years, okay? $5 million per, and there's about 50,000 African Americans in San Francisco. From what I understand, it's going to be, you have to be at least 18 years or older and meet some other criteria. And then it's also important to understand, in the state of California, race-based policies are illegal in the state of California. This is why the California Reparations Task Force, which Dr. Amos Brown also sits on, this is why they're going to distribute whatever they come up with based upon lineage as opposed to race, because they want to make sure it doesn't get overturned in court. Also, it's important to understand, when you study the history of California, California does not have a history of slavery. They do have a rampant history of racism, housing discrimination, redlining, segregation, voter suppression, etc. So, just very quickly, Dr. William Darity in this article from the Washington Post said, calling for $5 million payout by a local government undercuts the credibility of the reparations effort. So,
but here's the deal, though. There are people who disagree with Darity. So, I mean, and that's the point. You've got people who believe in it should be direct payments, others who believe in lineage-based, and that's the deal. You've got different factions all operating at one time.
Roland, we need comprehensive reparations. The root concept.
But here's the deal. There are some people who still believe in comprehensive, but also individual payments.
I'm not against individual payments. What I'm saying is individual payments need to be realistic. Thinking that they're going to give $5 million to every black person who's 18 years or older in San Francisco is totally unrealistic. That ain't happening. And what happens is it distracts from other recommendations that are realistic, that could be attainable, and people just focus on the $5 million. And when they don't get it, then a lot of them just want to throw up their hands. Okay, so we really have to, this is why we really have to understand history, but also understand law and really how to get something that is really realistic and achievable, and make sure it does not get overturned in the court, because they're going to file lawsuits to block this, just like the lawsuits filed when it comes to student loan forgiveness in President Joe Biden's executive order. And we want to make sure that we're on strong legal footing, so whatever gets passed at the city level doesn't get overturned in the court.
So the San Francisco NAACP puts out a statement saying that they oppose direct payments of $5 million to San Francisco residents for reparations. Reverend Dr. Amos Brown just came on our show. He's on that task force in San Francisco, vice chair of the California task force. He says that was an error. That was not the case. They support cash payments plus. This was all the sort of back and forth. City Council is going to actually make a determination about this possibly in October. Shannon, your thoughts again. I mean, so here we are, where this committee comes up with a number. Now everybody's talking about, hey, it's unrealistic. Others will say $5 million is not enough money. So your thoughts about this whole reparations battle there in San Francisco?
Even with inflation, wouldn't 5 acres and a mule been cheaper? I mean, had things been done correctly way back, we wouldn't still be having this argument today.
Right, but here's the deal, though. It wasn't done correctly, so this is where we are now.
No, and I get that. But in terms of the $5 million, if it was indeed an arbitrary number, which unless there's a formula out there, it obviously was, there was never any intention on doing anything with it. If you pick a number without a formula and just put it out there, it's because you have no intention on giving a dang blasted dime on any part of this. So to have an argument about whether it should be direct payment or it should be this or should be that, you need to be looking at, was it ever real to begin with? And I don't believe it was. I see that there have been several different proposals. I see that there's some folks that want direct payments, some folks that talk about lineage, some folks talk about infrastructural investment to fix education and all those things. But all of those things should have been going on to begin with. The fact that we are still in a place of having these conversations mean there is no real interest by the folks that have the ability to make the difference to actually do so.
Matt?
Yeah, I mean, I echo some of those sentiments. I don't think it was ever really going to happen. But the bigger question here is, reparation should be reparative, right? So a one-time payment, I don't think is good. Well, I think a one-time payment is good, but I don't think that should be the end-all, be-all. So I like the idea of cash plus. But beyond that, I like the idea of there being some actual institutional changes, which sounds like what the NAACP is advocating for. But what I found to be a big slap in the face here is that, city of San Francisco, like Michael was saying, has a huge deficit, but it doesn't make sense to me that that's also the place where you have the most billionaires and they don't have a way to figure out, one, a better formula, and two, a more workable way to do it. And I don't anticipate that there would be necessarily private investment, but the bigger issue with me for reparations overall is that, when the government wants to do something, it figures out how to do it, i.e. bailing out banks. But when it comes to a long-standing debt, i.e. reparations, we always get mired in how are we going to do it and the legal issues and all of that, when the basics of it, from a morality standpoint, is that this is something that should have long ago been done, and it should be something that should be a primary concern. So I don't think they have any real intention of paying people $5 million, but they should have an intention of finding a way to balance the scales, particularly with such a great income disparity there. I mean, for it to be $30,000 for Black families and north of $80,000 for Latino and Asian families, that alone is a great disparity, and it seems like something they should be a little more incisive in addressing.
All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment. When you talk about blackness and what happens in Black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in Black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind $100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland@RolandSMartin.com.